address this faculty development program on the stress management. On behalf of 5OT Academy, I very warmly welcome to one and all for the faculty members and other areas of people. So, very good afternoon, one and all. So, before going to the start of the session of stress management, let's see about a stress. Now, this is generally we called in an technical area. That's what we usually named as an stress. Generally, we call it as how what if you do more amount of work, then automatically the feeling or the result will be applied in expressed in terms of the stress. Now we call generally the stress, but we ignore sometimes that effect of the stress on our human beings and how it impacts on our work environment. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the stress and what does the definitions of the stress and how it impacts on the workplace. So generally, in the stress is a people's natural reach onto excessive pressure. So the cause of the stress is first the main is the pressure. So, but the pressure due to the applying of a pressure that on your mind that will as a result it expresses in terms of the stress. Now, stress isn't a disease, but if stress is excessive and goes on for some times, now it can go to the physical, it can disturb the mental and the physical conditions of the body. So generally, that's example depression, nervous breakdown, and etc. That means what under normal conditions, stress is acceptable, but if it becomes over excessive, it impacts on the mental and physical conditions of our body. So, then how to reduce the stress and how to minimize the stress? I cannot make the stress as a zero because the stress is applied on the course of events that occur in our day to day life. So, it may occur for one day or it depends upon the events that are going to occur in our life. So, I cannot say it is completely zero, but I can say it is minimized. So, how to minimize that is only when we understanding how to manage with the stress. So, there are different impacts of the stress, such as positive effects and the negative effects. So, in some areas, it shows the positive impact and the result of the stress, and it shows the negative impact as a result of the stress, especially in the workplace. So, let us see the objectives of this is session is to analyze and define what stress is and to focus on specific work stress related problems and to work towards practical solutions to them, and finally to improve the relationships and increase productivity in the workplace. So major this session focuses on the stress development and the stress minimization in your workplace. So let us discuss the case of we are understanding the stress. So we have many different that is definitions according to the psychology and a different case. So now we the stress can be defined as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation, right? Now this is a natural human response. Now the stress is will becomes the natural human response that prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives. So everyone experiences stress to some degree. This is very important that we know everyone we have will comes across the stresses in our day-to-day life. But is how we are going to handle the stress is very important. We in order to keep ourselves as healthy and happy. This is the very important thing how we are going to handle those stress in order to maintain our livelihood happy and safe. So now there are various definitions we can say. One of the definition is stress is a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives that demands exceeds the personal and social resources that the individual is able to mobilize. Means So it is a condition of experiencing, that is, it is not considered as a physical quantity, but it is always describes an emotional quantity when it the situation demands, and that is when that situation does not control by a person. That means the situation controls the person rather than the person controls the situations. So under this case, it is the pressure built on our body or mind, so that we can find out the ability, so that we can go to mobilize it. Now when we see the stress, the pressure is the resultant. That means the pressure is the state of art for being that is the ability of producing stress. Now when we come to the pressure, it is a good thing when it helps to provide both stimulation and motivation. So the problem with it is, if there is no pressure, you will always tries to become the leisure. So once we tries to becomes the leisure, as a result the laziness, so that the work performance of ourselves will goes on decreasing, so as there is no pressure on us. So but if there is a pressure on us, we will try to keep to complete the work within the time, so that our efficiency will be improved. So a little bit onwards, we can say that pressure is also a good thing, but this pressure is becomes a problem, and it leads to stress when we are not able to handle that pressure within the stipulated time. So what the case is, for example, if you see in your higher educational institutes, all the thing is we planned according the lesson plans before starting the class. We will talk about the plans, and we make sees many number of classes are required in order to maintain or complete the course syllabus. Let us say if there are 4 units or 4 chapters are there. If it is considered that for each chapter around 14 classes or 15 classes are required to complete comfortably. So, but if we think 15 into 4, that is around the 60 to 65 classes are required to complete it with comfortably the syllabus. But due to if you planned it according to that, but what is that under this condition, if that programs goes well smoothly, there will be no pressure on you, so that it is easy. But due to various problems that may come across, either you, the people will be in a leave, or some other reasons, the college will be in holiday, or education institutions will be in holiday. So due to that, there will be a small disturbances in the our lesson plans that we make to complete the syllabus. So under those conditions, we already make some extra classes, so that even though it is pressure, we feel comfortable, so that we can handle this complete the syllabus comfortably. But abruptly, if the more number of holidays come across, so now it will becomes the pressure will becomes more serious, so that it will we will feel more enormous pressure, so that it is not able to complete the syllabus within the stipulated time. So it creates now this pressure creates an stress on us. If the stress is bearable or understandable, or if we find a solution for that pressure, then it does not affect our physical and mental conditions. But if we do not make an alternative for that pressure, that means it creates the ill health or individual poor performance. Now, any job worth doing is likely to involve a certain amount of pressure. That means each and every job, what we are going to do is always certainly involves the pressure. So, the pressure is applied when some urgency is needed. So when you make the thing to complete in demand or to urgency or urgent, so now this will be becomes an pressure, and a little bit stress is developed. But prolonged pressure leads to stress, and then it leads to the type of a severe stress called chronic stress, which leads to destructive cycle for the as a result of this one, we make the poor performance, declining confidence, inefficiency, and decreasing productivity. So, due to the application of these stress on us, so the resultant will be ourselves poor productivity and performances. So, Now, when we see it, the stress in the workplace, especially we feel more stress in the workplace. So that means these there are several conditions are there. So that means first one of the condition is employees feel little stress when we have the time, experience, and resources to manage a situation. So, just like as a previous example, we feel that if we have any resources to complete the syllabus, this is our major project objective for of any course, so that we make a lesson plans and everything, we make the alternatives for it. So, if we make the alternatives and when we think there is an alternative, so that pressure can be handled. So that means employees will make only little stress because they already knows about the how to handle the situation or how to manage a situation. But the they feel more stress if they feel that the situation cannot be handled by them. So now the stress could be therefore turn out to be a positive or negative experience. So that means if you handle that pressure efficiently, the output or the outcome of such an event or a situation will be a positive. That result, what you expected, that will be the same. But if you could not handle that pressure not efficiently, so then the result will becomes the negative. So that ultimately decides the performance of the considerable individuals. Now, this stress is an inevitable consequence of an event. Now, how this stress varies means it depends a lot on the people's perceptions of a situation and their real ability to cope with it. See, what is this means is what when we are planning in your workplace, we will consider that we assume by assuming some entities we prepare some lesson plan. So this unit should be handled by projector or some units should be handled by the seminar. So what we planned it according to that, now the sufficient time is enough for them to complete the syllabus. So, but what you planned, that is your assumption or perceptions, and what the execution time, that is in reality situations. If they are coping up, that means they are similar, then there will be a smooth manner of executing that your plan. But if there are both different, that means it does not exist the same what you have think, then automatically it creates an unevitable event which cause of lots of pressure on you. As a result, you will be feel stressed. Now let us see it. Is does the stress is good or bad? No, some people say the stress will be the good, some stress will be there or bad. So based upon the previous incidences, that we whether we feel that the stress is good or bad, but according to the psychologist Cell, he said that stress is not necessarily something bad. It all depends on how we take or manage it. So that means now so the stress is not necessarily something bad. It all depends on how we take or manage it. So the stress of exhilarating or excitement creative successful work. That means if we create them efficiently, they manage. If you manage efficiently the stress, then automatically the output will become beneficial. While if you could not handle it efficiently, then it will be a failure, which creates the which shows the deteriorate performance of an individual. Now, let us see the causes of the stress. Now the causes of stress at workplace is a lot more or a lot less trouble with the boss. So first complaint when we go it, so the boss is we are not synchronizing with their superiors authorities. So whether the synchronization may be a more or less, but you are feeling a trouble with your boss, that is your supreme authority, because they randomly changes their decisions such that we could not accomplish the task. And next one is the working environment. So that is stress. If your working environment, that is your colleagues, office layouts, and physical surroundings, and the arrangements of your working that office or schools or educational, everything will impact on your mood. So once your mood, it affects, implies on your mood, then automatically you may change your emotional feelings, that it may cause one such condition, it may cause your stress. And job itself, so that is too much to do the work or too little to do the work, and also conflicting roles and responsibility, etc. Such cases will create the causes of stress. Now, what is this means is, see, actually, in our institutional case, when we say it, the beginning of the semester or beginning of your the sessions, that is the end of your semester or in your beginning of your classwork time, there will be no stress because you have so much pleasant time to complete your syllabus because you assumption that. So under these conditions, your work to is completed is too little to do because there is no pressure on you. So you will go as usual a little bit. You spend much more time on the classroom, but most of the time you are going to spend with them according not completing the syllabus, and we will elaborate the syllabus. What we required, we will explain some more so that it takes more time. And later, after going on to the semester, in the middle of the semester or the sessions, no, now what happens is now you have to do the work too much. That means you feel the pressure now because in order to complete the syllabus for your sessional examinations. So when your examinations appears and the date has been appeared knows you, then you compare with how much syllabus should be completed, then you have to do the work too much. So that means doing too much of work or too little to do, that means a very small amount of, and also the conflicting roles and responsibilities. This is a very important thing is, if once your supreme authority or the superior authority has given a task to you to complete it along with the coordinating of your seniors. Especially the problem comes is how a junior will coordinate with a senior. This is what the main role, that is called a conflicting roles and responsibilities. So these are the different tasks while you are handling at your workplace, it will cause a stress. And one more reason is the violation of the laws. So there are certain conditions when we are going to the violation of laws, especially for example, if you see, see that the lunch break time is around the half an hour, but you have gone to somewhere else and you have come across after 30 minutes. So while coming to the 30 minutes, you will feel a little bit pressure, you know what the others will see. That means you are getting late or leisurely leaving the period. So certain violation of laws will leads to you becomes the stressful environment, will gives the stressful environment. Next one is a major change in our work culture, ethics and commitment. So that is next one is your major change and in our work culture. So what we are doing it and what where the environment demands. There is no cope between our work and the environment or the situation demands. For example, I am a slow learner and I am going to do the work slowly, but the situation demands to work fastly, but I'm a very low, slow doing worker. So now what it is this? Now it creates that enormous pressure on us, so which leads to the cause of stress. And next one is the ethics. See, this is one more things that we come across in our environment, educational institutions environment. So the ethics. So what is the ethics means? Generally, we stick to our rules, but it is not practically, sometimes it is difficult to follow that rules, but we are forcefully to do that which is against our ethics or against our opinion. So such a conditions will also creates the cause of pressure and cause of stress. And next one is the commitment. So you have committed to do a work for a person in at a particular time. Under that situation, you have your own personal work to do. But Because of your commitment, it creates also a lot of pressure on you to complete that work efficiently. And the next one is the outstanding personal achievements. So once you mark yourself as an outstanding and eminent personality in your educational institutions, that means if they think that you are capable of doing all the things or capable of handling all the things, now in order to maintain the same scenario, it will because gives you an enormous pressure on you, so that it should you always try to make the same conditions forever. So this is some of the causes of the stress. And next one is changing in working hours or conditions, right? So in changing working hours or conditions, this is also impact. So usually our working is 9:30 to 4:30, what we will think. But if someone asks you to stay about around 5:30 to 6, then automatically we get irritated because of our mood conditions will there, because we assume that it is our privacy hours, but it is forcibly to stay at your institution to do the particular task. So this also a cause of a stress. And next one is major change in living conditions, whether it is your constructing home, that means a neighborhood. So when you coming this a workplace, but here when coming to your nearest loan, that is your personal place. Now whenever you are going to change it in your reconstruction home or renewal of your home or neighborhood homes, so due to this disturbances, you may also feel sometimes pressure. And most of the thing is career development, that is once you are working in a private sector, then automatically we feel so much pressure regarding our uncertainty of job, and there will be no improvement, that is called stagnant of job. And next one is the no social value of the work, there will be no countdown of your work. So the next will be the unfulfilled vision, right? Unfulfilled vision, goal, and ambition resulting in changing to a different line of work. See what we aim and what we goal and what we are doing. If it mismatches, then automatically once we create this stress. So most of the things we feel is the personal financial management. So this is the most among all those conditions we can manage it. But however, if the personal financial management is not at all up to the mark, so therefore it creates or it impacts on other entities. So these are the some of your causes of stress. But how do we feel that we are stressful person? So there are some symptoms of the stress, whether that we are feeling under or we are under enormous stress. So there will be some signs or symptoms regarding either in physical of the body, will be behavioral aspect, and will the emotional aspect. So in these three cases, we find some symptoms or the signs of the stress. So when we coming to our body, that is physical signs, we feel headaches, common headaches, indigestions, and high BP, blood pressure, and migraine, etc. These are the some variations of the physical signs shown in our body that it indicates we are under enormous pressure. That is a stressful person. And behavioral aspect, that is poor work performance. So that means due to this physical signs, we are unable to complete the work uh, in time, so that we could not complete the work, that is leads to poor work performance. And also due to this stress, right, we depends upon the anti-relaxant, that means to leave this to relieve from the stress, we used to take of the caffeine, drugs, and alcohol. So that shows in your behavioral aspect, which majority people will goes under this, that is they are under enormous pressure. And next one is emotional factors. When coming to the emotional factors, we show little bit irritability, that is always in irritable nature, and there will be no concentration on doing that work, and we always feel anxiety or depressions, sometimes depressions, etc. This shows your emotional symptoms of your the stress. So there are various signs can be shown either in physical, behavioral, and the emotional factors. But however, we can get out from this stressful when we feel that is a quick response or intervention by colleagues or boss can prevent the situation from deteriorating further. That means whenever you are feel under pressure or enormous stress, if your colleague or boss observes you that you are under enormous pressure, and they started involvement in your work, or by talking to you, or how to complete the work, or giving some suggestions how to complete the work, so this leads to the distressful stress. That means we can reduce the stress. So what we make the most common mistakes made by employees that often lead to stress is not setting the realistic goals. So what we have to do, and what we was there in the organization or institution, there's a mismatch. And next one is the poor communications. So what we have to communicate and what we are communicating, that will is also mismatch, that leads to poor communication. And the next one is the dictatorial and aggressive behavior. So this is what we used to talk with other peoples as your dictatorial and aggressive behavior. That is what is the reason is when you are asked to complete a task, you should they used to take to call is this collaborate, or next what is you collectively do the work. But instead of doing the collective work, we used to take dictatorial or use demand, or it shows the an aggressive behavior. And the next one is you are always wanting to be liked by all. That means your work has to be shown to others, that you always wants to dominate others, and you always wants to be more impressive than the others. That means you want to prove yourself not in the work, but instead of their others people recognition. And next one is poor hiring decisions and not motivating staff. So when you are in a boss, you are not motivated by others, or you are not motivating others, which leads to the incompletion of work, and that creates the enormous pressure also. And that one more is criticism and a negative discipline. So criticism and negative discipline is one more. The thing is we used to criticize the others, right? Uh, generally we criticize the others. That means what we will take it is, we used to say the negative things about others rather than the positives. So this means also will creates the lot of pressure with incompleting of your work. Next, not managing content. So resistance to change and prejudice, race status, etc. So all these things will create the mistakes that often lead to the pressure. See, what we will say generally thing is whether these mistakes will create often to stress immediately. It may not, but some mistakes will create the enormous pressures within a short period of time. But some mistakes will convert into your habits that affects the work performance. For example, the criticism and negative discipline, it first just initially it should be a talkative and it will be humorous. So when we say about others negatives, then the others people will think, oh, it is good. But it is it's very beautiful for when it is a short period of time. But if you make create continuously saying this, whenever you are handling a particular work, then the other people would not cooperate with you. So that is the reason. So be careful while you are handling with others. So not leading by example. See, your own things you cannot be said. Next, one most important thing is paying poor or low salary. That what we think is, so what is the work? There is no comparison of work is doing and what we are getting. So there is ultimately no comparison. If we get between these, what I am getting as income and what my work, so there is no comparison of work. So that is next one is lack of relevant trainings, and the next one is poor time management. That is they come and go early and leaves. This is And next one is unrealistic deadlines. See here, while you are completing your task, they will ask you in your institutions in how many days you will be able to complete it. But without expecting or without knowing the complete the task, you just give your promise that I will complete by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But when you are able to handle it, the task, you come to realize that it will be takes 1 week or 15 days time. So that is what you are keeping yourself as enormous pressure to complete the task. And lack of empathy and taking life too seriously also will give you the stress. And next is what is the stress and what is the definition of stress in the case of psychotherapy or psychology? Is it is a threat or challenge that signals the body to engage the fight or flight response. So that means challenges us, right? So whether to handle it or you are able to handle or not able to handle, so that will be expressed in terms of chemicals and hormones. So that is your case. It can be a healthy defense mechanism, but becomes problematic when it is frequent or chronic. So there are generally three types of stresses we feel. That is acute stress, episodic stress, and the next one is the chronic stress. So acute stress, what we will use this acute stress is a relatively common occurrence and can be caused by many things, right? So generally, when we are able to doing a new thing, a bit amount of pressure we feel that will be creates a stress for a certain period of time, so that will be called as an acute stress. So that means, for example, people feel acute stress when they are preparing for a job interview or presentation. So a little bit amount of pressure will be on them while they are handling this. Once they are able to handle it, that stress will be minimized. So this is called the acute stress. So the acute stress doesn't usually have any serious consequences on your mental and physical health issues because it exists only for the short duration. Now, what is your symptoms of this when you feel it is faster heartbeat and breathing, increased pressure and having sleep difficulties and feeling restless and feeling tense and having difficulty focusing your attention. So these are the symptoms of your acute stress, but there is no it is not a major issues. It will be existing only a few short duration, so that it will be aware, it does not affect any our health. But when you say the episodic acute stress, that means these acute stress are occurring frequently for a period of time or for a regular basis. Now, this is what you see when you are, this stress will occur when you are facing the consecutive stresses or often worried about a negative experience or event that has been occurred in your life. So, for example, see acute stress, episodic acute stress. Now, once if you are fear with your supreme, that is superiors, now what happens? You need to come continuously go to in front of them. So when you are going on in front of them, you are always feeling the stress. So once your superior calls you or regarding a particular work, so whenever you are going to appear before them, you are feeling continuously stress as long as you are present in before them. So this is what this episodic acute stress, and this is naturally for those people who are really anxiety or short tempered people, so or irritable people. So this will be stress is more common or occurrence for a people those who are short tempered, and his anxiety is very high, anxiety levels are very high, and mostly they will irritable rather than keeping silent. So these are the acute stress symptoms. Now let the symptoms you will see is heartburn and indigestion, muscle pain and tightness, and heart diseases, and also results in high blood pressures and frequent headaches. So these are the presence of your episodic acute stress. So generally we feel the stress levels are different based upon the events occurred in our life. So the chronic stress is ongoing and it is constant stress. There is no relief for this chronic stress. So this stress is observed for a due to longer health issues or disabilities. So that is, for example, the stress occurs due to the getting of your diabetes, and the stress may occur because of overthinking of always you are overweight. So that means whenever you are overweight, you are always concerned of your weight. So therefore, you are always feel the stress regarding your structure or physical body. So now this is stress will weakens your immune system. That is increasing risk for the flu infections and viruses. So the chronic stresses will impact of your negative thinking, feeling agitated, helpless, and hopeless. It ultimately finally it will convert into the depressions, irritability, and emotional lability and low confidence on you. So this is what we will use to say the substance use and abuse. So then basically we have these three stresses, that is chronic, and next one is episodic, acute, and next one is acute. So these stresses will be variable when what they depends upon the situations that we are encountered. Now, this is what we will say the how types of stresses that will may come across in our day-to-day life at your workplace. Now, how to manage this stress, right? So there will be a technique called the stress management. So, which is a wide spectrum of techniques and psychotherapies aimed at controlling a person's level of stress. So now, what is this a definition of stress management? That the stress can be thought of as a resulting as produced because of an imbalance between demands and resources. So this is what we generally feel the stress regarding your financial situations. That is what the situation demands and what the facilities we have. If there is an imbalance between them, then in order to accomplish the task, we feel so much enormous pressure, which creates the stress. Now, pressure exceeds one perceived ability to cope, then it is called an stress, and the stress management was needed for this case. So, among the many stresses, the employees, these are some of the most common management thing is stress wreaks havoc on your emotional equilibrium. So, the stress impacts emotionally as well as your overall physical and mental health. So, as long as you be there enormous pressure at your work, it impacts in your personal life and in your social life too. So, therefore, effective stress management is required on your life so you can be happier, healthier, and more productive. So, ultimate goal is your balanced life with time for work and maintaining relationships, relaxation, and fun. So, to cope up with your under pressure and meet challenges that is to be done. So, there are several tips to be followed under this case. Now the first one is the identify the sources of stress in your life. The tips one is your the first one, that is what are the sources that creates you stress in your life. So for that, now you just have to do it. Do you explain yourself whatever stress as temporary or the stress is created by the others. Next one is you need to answer yourself that you do define stress, which is an integral part of your work or home life. That means the stress is created because of either professional life or your personal life. And the first thing is what whether this stress is or pressure is temporary or permanent. And the first thing you have to do is before all these things, you need to, what is my main reason for creating the pressure. So next one, finally, fourth is whether the stress is caused by the other people or other events or view as entirely normal and unexceptional. So, this before you say you need to identify the sources of stress. Until first thing is you have to accept responsibility for the role you play in creating or maintaining it. So if you know it that the stress is completely outside of the level, then you could not cope up how to take this. And next, a stress journal has to be made. That means what is the thing is, you need to note the time what is in your page, or make a note it in your paper. So that is what caused your stress, right? How you feel, whether when it is stress is caused both physically and emotionally, how you acted in response as a result of this pressure, how you are acting. And now after acting it, how did make yourself feel better. So this is what you can see it. The thing is what caused your stress. So let us take, if you see it, you are asked to complete a task before when you are doing now, you feel there are some other tasks also there, that but it the addition of this task will makes you the stress. Now while doing it, when the stress is applied, how you are going to feel, that is emotionally and physically. So as a result, how you are going to handle it. And next one is cut out unhealthy ways of dealing with the stress. So many of our think is unhealthy and unproductive ways. So that means as a result of stress, we are addicted to your smoking, drinking, and using drugs in order to get the relief from that stress. So and one more thing is adopting as a junk food or eating irregular times. That is also gives you enormous pressure or indicates the stress on a particular person. Now, so withdrawing from, so now what we have to do is we need to cut out unhealthy ways. That means whether we have such an smoking or drinking habits, we need to remove it. And those who are people who are encouraging such habits, they are to withdraw from them. And getting sleeping too much and filling up every minute of the day to avoid facing problems. And finally, taking out your stress on others. So the third one is the practice the 4 A's of stress management. So what is 4 A's? That is avoid, alter, adapt, or accept. So now it is an automatic response from your nervous system, that stress. So what is your option is what is avoid, alter, adapt, and accept. So avoid means unnecessary stress. So now what is you must know the situation, whether it is your situation is can be addressed or not. If it is relevant to you, you should be accepted. You should be say strictly no to some other professional life also. Whether in your personal or professional life, you should be learn how to say no, because if you are already engaged with your works, you could not handle much more than that. And avoid the people who stresses you out. Next one is take control of your environment. So instead of the environment controls you, next you control of your environment. That is, for example, if the evening news makes you anxious or anxiety, just turn off the TV. And if it is giving any situation goes on your, if you feel more pressurized, just skip that from the situation and try to get the relaxed mood. So next one is avoid hot button topics. That is, for example, if you are in a discussion or in days, so if you are crossing them your limits and the engagement, that is a discussion is going to be crossed more than limit, then you simply cut it out those one. Next one is pare down your to-do list. So before doing your pressurize yourself, just you keep your schedule, and what about the daily task and what is monthly task and how do you differentiate, and the shoulds and must. So drop the tasks that are nearly not needed. So next one is another A is alter the situation. If you can't avoid a stressful situation, try to change it or alter it. So that means if involves changing the way you communicate and operate in your daily life. So express your feelings instead of bottling them up. So instead of arguments, you just go of your feelings or try to convince or communicate in a respectful way. And next one is be willing to compromise. So if to in order to keep the situation in your control, if you just be willing to compromise if it is necessary. So be more assertive. So now if you are and next one is the find balance. So all work and no play is the recipe for burnout. So try to find a balanced life between work and family lives. So this is very important that we if you change the alter the situations. So if you can't avoid it, you just change the situations more. Next one is adapt to the stressor. So if you can't change this stressor, that means you cannot avoid some persons in your life who creates your stress. So or you cannot change the situations in your life. You cannot the stress. That is a stressor. Now change yourself so you can adapt to stressful situations and regain your sense of control by changing your expectations and attitude. So what is this mean is now, if you don't change the stressor, you change the attitude, how you behave with them. So that is very important. And they reframe problems. Now, how we look into the problems or situations in more positive perspective rather than a negative way. Next one is that they look at the wide range of the big picture. So that is take perspective of the stressful situation. Ask yourself how important will be in the long run. So whether you are handling a situation, you just ask yourself whether is it is important, if it is an urgent, or if it is the case whether it is how long it will works for me or suitable for me. So that means when it is suitable or sufficient for in a month or year, so then you can do it. If it is not suitable for a month, that means your task does not helps you in any manner. You just leave it the task and focus your time and energy elsewhere. So adapt to the stressor. That is adjust your standards. Now perfectionism is a major source of avoidable stress. Stop setting yourself up for failure by demanding perfection. Right? Set reasonable standards. So perfectionism is very important, but it too much leads to a great enormous stress. So practice gratitude. When stress is getting you down, take a moment to reflect on all the things. So that means, so what it happens is when you are such an enormous pressure in your environment, you just keep silent and think about your own positive qualities and gifts, so that makes you happy and thus reduces the stress immediately and you keep things in perspectives. Now accept the things you can't change. This is the thing is some sources of stress are unavoidable. So you can't prevent them or you can't change them. So that means you need to accept that one is the best way to cope with stress is to accept the things. So that is the case. And next one is don't try to control the uncontrollable. So many things in the life are beyond our control, particularly the behavior of the other people. Rather than stressing out over them, focus on the things you can control, such as the way you choose to react to problems. So this is what we generally use to take is we want to control others people behavior. So don't do that such a conditions or blaming others behavior. So which will cause enormous pressure on you, not for them. So look for up the upside. When facing major challenges, try to look at them as opportunities instead of feeling them as a difficulties. So which leads to your personal. So now if your own poor choices contributed to a stressful situation, reflect on them and learn from your own mistakes. Learn to forgive. So one more accept the thing is learn to forgive, that accept the fact that we live in an imperfect world and that people make always mistakes. Let go of anger and resentments, free yourself from negative energies. So share your feelings. So expressing what you are going through can be very etheric, even if there is nothing you can do to alter these stressful situations. So the best thing is you are sharing your feelings what about a particular situations, but be careful while you are sharing the things about the what others people's behavior also you must be kept in mind. So get moving. So when you feel stress is just you move it or making a physical exercise, which physical activity is a huge stress reliever, but you it is not necessary to keep more spend hours in a gym or to make good. So exercise releases endorphins that make you feel good. So while you will get the most benefit from regularly exercising, so it's okay to build up your fitness levels. So many of the people, we are not, we try to go for walking, but we still we're not going to date. So keep yourself to get yourself up and moving. So there are some ways, that is, put on some music and dance around or instead of take your dog for a walk, so walk or cycle to the grocery store. Use the stairs at home rather than the elevator. So these are the some of the things that you can keep moving, so that your body fitness will bring along with your stress releasers. Next one is, while you are exercising, please be conscious that your found mind is should be on focusing on your breathing, so that the stress, the air, how the air or sunlight feels on your skin, adding this so mindful elements, you feel so much relief from your negative thoughts. So this is what we can do, is get moving from your stressful environment. So the fifth one is connecting to others. So there is nothing more calming than spending quality time with another human being. So when we feel enormous pressure, we just go to our colleague and just we will to take chat some time of chat with others, so that we are moved from our that stressful environment. So why this is face to face interaction is, no, it triggers a cascade of hormones, so which keep ourselves active, and it in a defensive mode response. Keep in mind that people you talk to don't have to be able to fix your stress. So now, let the people you talk don't have to be able to fix it. They, you don't think they will solve your problems, but you fix that they are be good listeners, but you don't expect them they will solve your problems. Please keep in that. And next, for building good relationships, reach out to a colleague at work, help someone else by volunteering, have lunch or coffee with your friend. So ask a loved one to check with you regularly. Accompany someone. Schedule a weekly dinner date. So like this, some activities will make you to improvise in the society, so that many people you can interact, and both we can really, there are several advantages by this methodology, so that we can remove free from the stressful environment, and also we can make a new friends, and we are enlarging our friend circle nature. So make time for fun and relaxation. So set aside leisure time, include rest and relaxation in your daily schedule. So please be think that there is in your daily life, please make that you should be an a leisure time for your sleep and for fun. So whether your fun is, keep some time for your family life too, so that you can recharge from that situations. So do something you enjoy every day. So make time for leisure yourself, that what doing some activities you can enjoy yourself. For example, if you are interested in listening to music, keep some time for listening the music, so that you are free active throughout the day, so that you are cannot able to be take this stressful. Next, keep your sense of humor. This includes the ability to laugh at yourself. So, keep joking and making this, keep yourself so humor, so that with other people, but it should give you an enormous relief, stress relief in yourself. But keep in mind that your sense of humor does not impacts other emotions. Now, take up a relaxation practice. So, relaxation techniques such as yoga, meditation, and deep breathing activate the body's relaxation response. So, this will give here a state of restfulness, that is the opposite to the fight or flight response. As you learn and practice these techniques, your stress levels will decrease, and your mind and body will become calm and centered. So the next tip is manage your time better. This is very important. The one of the major reason is the time management, which will creates the lot of stress. So the reason is here, don't overcommit yourself. So while you are scheduling it, Keep yourself some time leisure for yourself. Within that leisure time, you don't commit to others to do your work, so which creates your enormous pressure. So therefore, avoid scheduling things back to back or trying to fit too much into one day. So next one is prioritize task. So prioritize task means you what your regular task can be prioritize and tackle them in order of importance. So higher order first, higher priority will comes first, and the next will becomes here the on the order. Next one is break projects into small steps. So if a large project seems overwhelming, now convert them into a small step size and into a segments or modules, and focus on one module each at a time rather than taking it a whole. So everything at once. Next one is delicate responsibility here. So what the thing is, when we come across in your professional life, once the task is assigned to you, now what we generally do is we try to complete the entire task of your own. You are not handling, you are not giving to others to handle your task. So just we will try to complete the entire task of our own. So that means what you are doing is you keep yourself as enormous under enormous pressure. So instead of doing all the work at a time, you just whether it is a home, school, or in the job, if the other people can take care of that particular task, you just allot that task to complete it, and just you monitor it. So this is you will be letting from go of unnecessary stress in the process. So this is what we do is generally if a superior authority allots some task, we try to complete out of your own. What is the reason is we will prove ourselves that we are much more efficient than others. So while we are competing others, so competing that we are more efficient than others, that's why the task is given to us. While showing in that manner, we feel enormous pressures. So instead of doing that task, you can module the task and ask the others also to help in that in your task, so that it should be a collective manner and you are free from enormous stress. And next one is maintain balance with a healthy lifestyle. So keep regularly exercise so that increase your resistance to stress, and make a healthy diet, right? So that nourished bodies are better, and reduce caffeine and sugar in your life. This temporary highs caffeine and sugar provide often end. So even though they feel that they are a stress reliever, but it helps it gives your problem to your health in the long run. So avoid alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs, and more properly get enough sleep. That is adequate sleep fuels your mind as well as your body. Feeling tired will increase your stress because it may cause you to think irrationally. And next one is learn to relieve stress in the moment. So that is when you are frazzled by your morning commute, that is stuck in a stressful meeting at work, or fried from another, or argument with your spouse, or somewhere else here, you need a way to manage your stress levels right now, immediately. That's where quick stress relief comes in. So the fastest way to reduce stress is by taking a deep breath and using your senses, what you see, hear, taste, and touch, or through a soothing movement. So, or you can release the stress, or by viewing your favorite photo, or what is your interested activities. So for example, if I'm wants to listen my music, I'm fond of a good music. Just whenever you feel you are a pressure, you just convert your mood into that place, so that your stress levels will be reduced, greatly reduced. So this is to learn to relieve stress in that moment. So finally, the summary is that some stress is essential in our professional as well as personal life, as it brings excitement in our life. But excess stress should be avoided as it is dangerous to our health. So also manage your time well to be from the free stressless environment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, the session is now open up for interaction.